what's up YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent Switch/gaming video for this week, where I take a look at some of the stories that have come out this week, or at least the ones that caught my attention, and give you my thoughts and my opinions on them. So why don't we get started with the first one? And the first one has to do with Panic Button. Now, for anybody who owns a Nintendo Switch, Panic Button is a name that has started to become recognized by a lot of Switch owners. Most people remember that. Most people know them for doing what many thought was impossible, but managed to pull it off. Ports of Doom and Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus on the Nintendo Switch, which, for the record, is still impressive that they can able to pull that off on a system that is not as powerful as the PS4, Xbox One, or PC for that matter. And of course, they were also the ones that handled the port of the Switch version of Rocket League for the Nintendo Switch as well. But in June, though, it was announced that Panic Button had another game in development for the Nintendo Switch, though, that they were going to announce in July. Well, we're here in July, and depending on your point of view, either this is the game you were looking forward to it, or this may have not been what you had expected, though, but it will be interesting to see what people's response to it will be. And that is the announcement of Warframe is coming to the Nintendo Switch, courtesy of being developed by the Switch version, of course, with Panic Button. In an article in GameInformer.com, again, links are in the description, though, it points out that Warframe, the massive popular free-to-play looter shooter, which recently received its Sacrifice update, is heading to Switch. Taking a high-end PC and console game and putting it on Nintendo's portable hybrid is no easy task, but rest assured, the port will be handled by Panic Button, the same people who recently ported Doom and Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, to consoles to surprisingly strong results. The company knows its way around the console and the magic trick needed to get the demanding game running on the platform. So hopefully Warframe doesn't feel too out of place for the Switch. No launch date was announced for the Nintendo Switch at this time. Maybe we'll hear something about it in the fall. Supposedly Nintendo says that that they have more announcements to be made. Maybe we'll hear something at a direct, though, of an official launch date of Warframe coming over. So, but there is somewhat of a bad news, though, in a way, and that is the bad news so far right now is that Warframe does not offer any cross-platform account or multiplayer on Nintendo Switch or any other platform. This is from an article from Nintendo Life magazine. Again, links will be in the description. You could check it out yourself. It says, quote, Digital Extreme recently announced that a Nintendo Switch version of Warframe, which is being handled by Panic Button. If you're planning to play the free-to-play game on the Nintendo latest console, you may want to hold off on starting an account for the time being. In addition to not offering cross-platform play, Warframe does not allow accounts to move between platforms. The developers eventually want to implement cross-platform in functionality, but the feature isn't currently supported, though. They said, quote, this is from the Warframe creative director, our goal is cross-platform play. Our goal is updating the PS4 version in sync with the PC version with all the same content, features, and events. For things to happen, for the ecosystem to be shared, we cannot diverge. D-I-V-E-R-G-E. Pardon me if I'm not saying that correctly, though. Digital Extreme Studio Manager also added, crossplay requires all platforms to be updated simultaneously, which is not what our developer schedule allows for at the moment. Given the extra balance pass needed to make this functionality fair for all platforms, and the delay in releasing content that would necessarily for simultaneously update, I unfortunately don't see Warframe cross-platform existing in the foreseeable future. So it's both good and bad news, though, on this one, though. The good news is that Warframe is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, I remember trying this game out probably around the same time the PS4 was launched, though. It was an interesting title, but I never really dug into it as much. But apparently the title seems to continue to grow strong, and it certainly continues to garnish an audience. It seems to be doing better than Activision's Destiny has ever done. The bad news, unfortunately, is that obviously with cross-platform starting to become a thing, as we saw with Fortnite, Paddling, and Minecraft as well, it is somewhat disappointing to hear that there's currently no plans, at least right now, for cross-platform, at least on Warframe at the moment. Now, if there is one bright spot about this, at least they're giving you a heads up about it, unlike the situation we saw with the Fortnite debacle, where people started to learn that if they signed in with playing Fortnite on their PS4, that they couldn't take that content over due to Sony's policy of not having cross-platform, which, as a side note, as much as I like the PS4, and I do, I still think this is a stupid policy on Sony's part, and I really think they need to reevaluate and change that. And honestly, if a developer wants to offer cross-platform, I say let them offer it, though, okay? Yes, the developer can decide if they don't want to offer cross-platform for their game, but if they do, give them the opportunity. Let them offer cross-platform if someone has the same game, but they have a different system. So, honestly, like I said, it's a dumb policy in general, though. So, for me, but given the fact that it's coming to the Nintendo Switch, I might give it a second go. And it kind of surprises me a little bit that we're getting a lot of these free-to-play games coming to the Nintendo Switch with Fortnite, Paddling, and so forth. It's just, it's kind of interesting that they're doing this, considering that the Switch is this, this console handheld hybrid. I did not really think a free-to-play game would work for a system where you take it on the go and so forth. But obviously, there is an audience there, and certainly there are people enjoying that game. In fact, last time I've heard, though, I think Fortnite was downloaded about 2 million times, and downloaded around 2 million, or it might have been more now, and obviously Epic must be happy with that. So obviously Digital Extreme was realized there's probably an audience there, though. So we'll have to wait and see how the game plays out when it comes onto the Nintendo Switch, assuming we get the launch date, and we'll have to see how they handle their free-to-play mechanics, although I have heard that they've done a good job with it. But again, we'll have to wait and see. And as a side note, for Panic Button as well, who are not only developing the game, it appears to be that they may have a ton of other projects for the Nintendo Switch in development. Again, according to an article on mynintendo.com, again, links are in the description, it says, quote, Warframe was recently announced for the Nintendo Switch. However, if you're not a fan of that game, you may be happy to hear that Panic Button Switch support is far from over. According to a Reddit MAA that the company held, they have tons of Switch projects in development, and Panic Button may hint what one of them are. You see, later in the AMA, the company also said, we just announced Subnaut, Subnautica, again, apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly, for PS4 and Xbox One yesterday, and there could be other things. They were asked if the game is coming to the Switch, and Panic Button responds with anything is possible. This has caused some speculation that the game I mentioned may be one of those unannounced Switch projects, though, at least according to what they are basically saying. Honestly, though, whatever that game is, I would be open for them to bring to the Nintendo Switch, but at the same time, I wouldn't rule out the possibility that they could be working on other ports of other companies, though. I mean, it's possible that Bethesda may contract them out again and figure, hey, can you guys port this game over? Maybe could be, Prayer or Evil Within 1 or 2 or Dishonored 1 or 2. Or personally, I would like them to try to bring Fallout 4 over to the Nintendo Switch as well. So, or it could be from another company as well. Maybe it's possible. And again, I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not saying this is happening. I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe Capcom went up to Panic Button saying, hey, can you port Resident Evil 7 over to Nintendo Switch? And not that god-awful, dumb, stupid, idiotic cloud approach, which honestly, I think that is just a bad idea to begin with, though. So, again, we'll have to wait and see what Panic Button has to offer, and we'll have to wait and see if those games do end up seeing the light of day or if they basically get canceled. But in either way, overall, Warframe is coming to the Nintendo Switch. That's great. It is a disappointment, however, that cross-platform is not in the cards right now. And Panic Button probably has more projects in development for the Nintendo Switch. Seeing how they've handled Wolfenstein and Doom, though, so far, I would like to see them handle Doom Eternal if that ever comes to the Nintendo. If Bethesda ever decides to bring it over to the Nintendo Switch, will remains to be seen. But given how they handle those games, I'm open to see what Panic Button has to do as well, what more they can do. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 2 of our story and of our My 2 Cent video, and this one has to do with 2K's comment about WWE 2K19 not coming to the Nintendo Switch. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And this one, we're going to be taking a look at a comment that 2K made about WWE 2K19. Now, I will be honest with you, I'm not really a big wrestling fan or anything like that. I may have watched it when I was a kid and all that stuff, but eventually I've grown out of it. That said, I'm not denying the fact that there are wrestling fans out there, even those who are adults right now. Well, apparently it seems as though that if you are a wrestling fan and you are a Switch fan, I got some bad news for you though. It appears as though that WWE 2K19 will not be coming to the Nintendo Switch at all. In several different articles ranging from Nintendo Life and Destructoid though, again, links are in the description, 2K released a statement saying, quote, WWE 2K19 will not be available on the Nintendo Switch. 2K is focused on making the best possible experience for WWE 2K fans and will continue evaluating all opportunities to deliver the franchise across additional platforms. So, honestly though, I'm not really hugely that surprised by this in any way, considering the controversy and the backlash that WWE 2K18 was in that sorry state that it was released on the Nintendo Switch. Not to mention there were reports coming out that the WWE wanted that game out as soon as possible and they wanted to quickly rush it out, and for many people it was in a bad state. It ran terrible. It needed like a huge download though. I mean, same with NBA 2K18, which honestly amazes me that game works, but this one didn't. And so much, it became the butt of jokes for a lot of Switch owners. Not to mention, it became an example of how you should not handle in terms of optimizing or porting a game over to the Nintendo Switch. At the same time, I am very disappointed with 2K's decision on this, and I do think this is a missed opportunity for them to at least try to fix some of the problems that may have existed when the game with 2K18 coming out. And the fact that it sounds like they're throwing in the towel is definitely a disappointment. Not to mention, when you have a studio like Panic Button that could port a graphically demanding game like Wolfenstein and Doom to the Nintendo Switch, and yet you can't even handle WWE 2K18, I mean 2K to be exact, that's just amazing. I mean, they didn't even bother maybe going to them or any other studio to figure, hey, you think you can create a version of WWE 2K19 to the Nintendo Switch and see if they could pull it off? Or at the very least, and I heard this suggestion before, and I think this would not be a bad idea, why not create a WWE game designed specifically for the Switch? I mean, during the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox One era, they had their own WWE licensed game. PlayStation had SmackDown, Xbox had Raw, and GameCube had ranging from WrestleMania to eventually doing Day of Reckoning. I mean, why not do something like that? Design something specifically for the Nintendo Switch in mind. Like, take that kind of approach. So it is unfortunate, though. It is very disappointing, and quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if I hear something like saying 2K is not going to support the Nintendo Switch anymore. Because if that's true, if that does happen though, which I wouldn't be surprised it does, I think it's a missed opportunity for them. I mean, I would love to see games like the Borderlands series come over to the Switch, along with XCOM and Civilization, BioShock though. But this just is really sad and very unfortunate though. Even though I'm not a wrestling game, I think this could have been a good opportunity to learn from their mistakes and see if they could try to earn people's trust again after what happened with 2K18. But unfortunately, they're throwing in the towel on this one though. Much like the developers of the Yakuza series, where they decided they're not going to bring their games over to the Switch because of the poor sales on the Wii U, despite the fact that the Switch is doing way better than the Wii U and selling much better. Again, a missed opportunity on their part. So, but bottom line is, it looks like WWE 2K19 will not be coming to the Nintendo Switch. I'm not surprised by this, but I do think it is disappointing that they're not using this opportunity to maybe, like I said, learn from their mistakes and try to earn people's trust again. So, very disappointing. We'll have to see how 2K19 plays out for both the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Although I heard that as bad as the Switch version was, those versions weren't better either. Maybe not on the same level as the Switch, which obviously was the worst of the worst, but there were people who were upset about 2K18 as well, at least from what I've heard. So, disappointed it's not coming to the Switch, but not surprised at the same time. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to be talking about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and that it appears though that Nintendo may not be done with that game. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our third part of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, it's going to be about Nintendo has made about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and they may not be done with it though. So as some of you are aware, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out last year as one of the Wii U ports that come over, despite earlier rumors at the time of that one where many thought that Splatoon would come over, only it turned out to be Splatoon. They did an all-new Splatoon game, Splatoon 2, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had basically all the DLCs in it, and of course some new characters such as the Squid Kids, and a proper battle mode that a lot of people complained about that the Wii U version did not have. And till this day, it still is a best-selling game despite being a port of the Wii U. Well, apparently it seems as though Nintendo may not be done with Mario Kart 8. Though, in a recent comments made in a Twitter video that was done by Nintendo, which several articles were picked up by several sites such as Nintendo Life and Destructoid. Again, links will be in the description of this video. It says that this one is from Destructoid. Nintendo hopes to give players more reasons to return to Mario Kart 8. In a cheery little video posted today, Nintendo's head of software development spoke about the game's recent Nintendo Labo Toy-Con motorbike. That was the update that came in that you can use the Labo motorcycle thing to use in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Edition, and pledges more support for and pledges more support. There will be further updates for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, he said, so please look forward to it. He also said to expect more free updates all the way until December for Splatoon 2. As far as these updates for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's kind of interesting to see what exactly they could do with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Several possible scenarios, and I've heard this before, and I could see them doing this. One possible scenario is we could see another Labo update for it. If for those who may remember, when Nintendo showed off Nintendo Labo, one of those was the steering wheel with like brakes and all that stuff. So it's possible we could see something like that. That could be an update for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The other update, and I'm thinking this is where they probably would be going with this, and so as some other people though, is we could see maybe more content, maybe like more tracks to be exact, maybe more characters. If that's the case, I think it's possible we might see something along the similar line to what they did with Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, which comes out today. I gotta pick that up. Is that we could see courses based off of, say, Super Mario Odyssey. So maybe they'll have something like a New Dong City race course or any of the other courses for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Maybe we'll see some characters from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Maybe the rabbits from Super Mario Odyssey. I kind of forgot their names. Really did. Or the possibility of Paulina, who was, the mayor of New Donk City. Maybe she'll make an appearance in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Given that Link is in there, maybe we'll see another area from the Zelda series. Perhaps maybe we'll see areas based off of the latest Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. There's also the possibility they could throw a curveball and maybe we'll get, say, another racing course from maybe Animal Planet or F-Zero, or maybe they'll introduce, say, Pokemon characters in here. We'll have race courses based off of from the Pokemon video game to even Star Fox, although there are rumors going around about the Star Fox racing game, which again I'm kind of mixed on that one to be exact. So those are several possibilities of what we could see in terms of more updates for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is pretty amazing considering that this is supposed to be the definitive version of Mario Kart 8 to be exact. Whether it's those updates or whether it's those that I mentioned or not remains to be seen. And one big thing to know for certain is whether or not these will be paid DLC or if they're going to take the route like they did with Splatoon, which offer free content update to be exact. Although the single player mode in Splatoon, I believe that was a paid DLC. So we'll have to wait and see what these updates are. I am interested to see what it is, and personally I would like to see more tracks, like more circuits, more characters, and possibly more battle mode courses though. But again, that's how I would like to see it. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 4 of our video, and this one's going to be a non-Nintendo one. This one has to do with some of the controversy surrounding Guild Wars 2 that came out over a comment made by one of the developers that sort of spiral out of control. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our 4th and final part of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And this one's going to be a non-Nintendo or Switch related one. This one has to do with PC. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a PC gamer or anything like that. I'm more of a console gamer than a PC gamer. That's not to say I have any issues with people who game on PC or anything like that. If that's the kind of thing you like to game on, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I don't see that as an issue. I don't buy the console fanboy or PC fanboy or PC master race BS and any of that though. I'm all for, regardless of whether you game on a console or PC, that it's the game, that there's quality, value, and content in the game, and that the game is optimized regardless if it's on a PC or basically a console. But recently, this week though, this one certainly got a lot of people's attention, and this has to do with the firing of 2 employees who worked on the game Guild Wars 2 for the PC, and recently they got fired over a dispute that happened on Twitter. Now, supposedly, one of the Twitter handlers though, and again, I want to make it very clear, none of these people should be harassed or anything like that, regardless of whether you agree with their opinion or not. One of the persons wrote that since I spent all kinds of times saying it on Reddit AMA and I haven't talked about an actual game development on Twitter in a while, here's a thread about writing for the PC characters in a MMO. This has to do with one of the former employees by the name of Jessica Price. It later got into a discussion by one of the person who wrote this, replying to Jessica Price by a person named Deroir, Deroir Gaming, who wrote, quote, really interesting thread to read. However, allow me to disagree slightly. I don't believe the issue lies in the MMORPG gene itself, as your word it seemingly suggested. I believe the issue lies in the constraint of a living story narrative design, one of three. Again, he wrote a thread as well. Well, Jessica Price kind of interestingly responded to this by saying, quote, today in being a female game developer, allow me, a person who does not work with you, explain to you how you do your job. And that really sort of took off right out there, though. It later, and this is an article from Game Informer that I'm reading about this right now. It says, quote, following the response, Price continue like the next rando, pardon my language, asshat who attempts to explain the concept of branching dialogue to me as if you know, having worked in game narrative for an effing decade, I never heard of is getting instant block PSA. Shortly after the initial tweet, another ArenaNet writer or someone who worked on Guild Wars 2, Peter Fries, tweeted in defense of Price in a now deleted response to other user tweets. Fry says, here's a bit of insight. I legitimately hope he reflects on she never asked for his feedback. These are our private social media accounts. Unfortunately, I'm not buying that, because if once something's posted on the internet, it's posted there forever, though. And for the person who posted about Total Biscuit had to learn that the hard way. And a lot of people who post stupid things on the internet have to learn that the hard way. Social media accounts. Imagine you're an astronomer and you start sharing some things you learned in the last few months since you began researching projects over observing Saturn. Only have observing techniques explained to you by a layman. You continue to respond in a Twitter user talking about the subject. Today is a national holiday. It's our day off after working hard for months on our most recent content release. If I'm being embarrassed and unprofessional, it's because I'm enjoying a beverage in the sun in my backyard, and this nonsense is being directed at someone I respect. Jessica is great at her job and deserves to be treated with respect. Was a glimpse of what I was reacting to. Price subsequently addresses the backlash in her tweet receiving. Since we've got a lot of hurt man feels today, let me make something very clear. This is my feed. I'm not on the clock here. I'm not your emotional corset just because I'm a developer. Don't expect me to pretend to like you here. The attempt of fans to exact ownership over our personal lives and time are something I am hardcore about stopping. You don't own me, and I don't owe you. She continues, and then the other person, Deroir, tweeted in his response, in a world where discussions should be encouraged and not belittled, yet the opposite becomes reality. I apparently found myself in the midst of a war I never intended to partake into. That disappointed. That's all. Hashtag I am a feminist. And then, of course, Randy Pitchford had to chime in on this, saying, quote, just read this Game Informer article, and quote, and if I were, the two people were part of the family at Gearbox, we would have gotten in their back. So, okay, this is a lot to digest, and I'll have links in the description. You could read it yourself. I'm going to look at this. There are two sides of the coin. I'm going to look at this, though. On one hand, I can understand sometimes, and this is sometimes from the developer's perspective though. There are people that do take things to the extreme over a beloved franchise and take it way too far. We've seen recently where some people, and this I've heard stories about this, have threatened Mr. Sakura, who's working on Smash Brothers, because Waluigi is not in the game. To recently with Star Wars, where some people were harassing one of the actors that was in Star Wars The Last Jedi. Not to mention, there are some YouTubers out there that go around, and I'm not going to name names or anything, but go around trying to paint it as they're the victims and they're the bullies when it's the complete opposite in certain situations. So there are cases where the fandom and some of the diehard fans take it to the extreme. Having said that though, that doesn't mean that the other side, like developers and all, don't tend to push it and don't go too far, tend to go way too far as well. So they're not off the hook either. I'm going to use Ghostbusters Answer the Call, the movie analogy, where yes, the far right took it too far, especially harassing Leslie Jones, one of the actresses, on Twitter. Make no mistake, and they deserve to be blamed. But at the same time, Sony kind of started this fire when they started to paint everybody who basically did not like this movie, are not the audience they want to target or demographic, and then try to play the victim card when, well, you're really not. And Randy Pitchford weighing in on this, he shouldn't be in a good position to talk about it. Let's not forget, this is the same guy that lied about aliens, colonial marines, and then blocked people who ever had legitimate criticism about alien colonial marines, and only accepted people who actually praised the game, in which the game should not be praised. So he's not in a great position. Now, having read the tweets and all, I honestly don't think that what this person was doing was in any way harassing the former developers of Guild Wars 2. This didn't come off as a pulling the SJW feminazi card or anything like that, though don't get me wrong, there are people who have pulled that card many times, and if you're playing that card constantly though, then that to me tells me that you don't have a valid argument to be made. But back to what I'm saying, I'm just not seeing that right here. I think this is a case where this, unfortunately, she basically tried to play the victim here and it did not work. And honestly, I just don't see it. This person didn't do anything to her. He basically said, I respectfully disagree with you in this, based on this situation alone. Now, I don't know whether she was having a stressful day, or she was overreacting, or she has dealt with harassment before, which there is a possibility but I will admit though that the way she handled this was wrong, and it was definitely inappropriate. And I really think that in this case, she was in the wrong this time around, okay? Yes, there are some fans that do take it to the extreme and do harass developers, which is unnecessary and unprofessional. But this, to me, this doesn't seem to be the case. This seems to be more like she overreacted, and apparently she got heavy, and she should deserve to be criticized for that though, and same with her friend as well. Whether they deserve to be fired or not, that's open for interpretation. That's certainly open for debate. But based on everything that I've seen so far, based on the tweets and so forth, I really think in this case, this person who worked on Guild Wars 2 really does deserve to be blamed on this situation. She did overreact, and the other person did nothing about it. There was no, like I said, there was no SJW or feminazi card being played under any situation, or this wasn't a alt-right, someone from the alt-right trying to push this onto her or anything like that. I really did not see anything based on the tweets that have come out though. So bottom line is, I don't know whether or not she should be fired or not, but I will say that she handled this the wrong way, and she and other developers, like the one I talked about with the Total Biscuit one, gotta learn, and this applies to anybody. if you post something on the internet, it's going to be posted there forever. Even if you delete it, someone's going to screenshot it and post it right on the internet, though. So I think this should be a daily reminder, is you got to think very carefully before you post it on the internet and so forth. And obviously she did not, and obviously I do think she did overreact on this one. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinions, but what are yours? What are your thoughts about Warframe coming to the Nintendo Switch? Are you happy that this game's coming over? Are you not happy that it is? Was this the game you were looking forward to coming to the Nintendo Switch? Was this not the game you were looking for, that Panic Button to announce? And considering that Panic Button claims they have more games in development for the Nintendo Switch, what games do you think Panic Button should port over to the Nintendo Switch? What are your thoughts about WWE 2K19, excuse me, 2K19 not coming to the Nintendo Switch? Are you surprised about this announcement? Are you not surprised at all, though? Are you disappointed that it's not coming to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think they missed an opportunity to maybe learn from their mistake and try to earn people's trust again, though? Do you think this is a sign that 2K is going to end support for the Nintendo Switch? Do you think it's not a sign at all? What are your thoughts about Nintendo supporting more content for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Do you think that they're overdoing it? Do you think it could be like the Final Fantasy 15 situation? Or do you think this may be a good thing? And what kind of more updates do you think they'll bring over? Do you think it's going to be more racetracks? Do you think it's going to be more characters, more battle modes, maybe a brand new mode to be exact? And if it is new racetracks, what racetracks do you think they should bring over? And do you think it could be based off of, say, like the ones based off of Super Mario Odyssey? And last but not least, what are your thoughts about the whole controversy surrounding Guild Wars 2? Do you think that the person who made the tweet that went after this person, do you think that she overreacted? Do you think the developer, the female developer, or do you think she did overreacted? Do you think that the person who was saying I respectfully disagree, do you think he went way too far with his comments? Do you think that, or he or she didn't go too far with his comments? And do you think this whole thing turned into a mess? Do you think that developers that fired these two did the right thing or did the wrong thing? Again, do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you do, make sure you hit that bell icon for notifications for when I upload something on YouTube. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to this channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal Me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!